The year is 1994. The Walt Disney Company just dropped one of its biggest movies of all time, The Lion King. The movie is a success at the box office and it's critically acclaimed by everyone. Now, 30 years later, my random ass decided to review this movie. Hi everyone, I hope y'all are doing fine. In today's video, I am going to review one of my favorite movies of all time, The Lion King 1994. If you guys want to support this channel, don't forget to leave a like or a dislike if you want, subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's start this video. Spoilers alert for the rest of the video. The Lion King is an adventurous musical animated movie released in the global US on June 15, 1994. Its runtime is 88 minutes, so 1 hour and 28 minutes. The movie was produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation and distributed by Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, previously known as Buena Vista Pictures Distribution. But let's just say that the movie was entirely made by Walt Disney Pictures. The Lion King had a budget of $45 million and accumulated $978.8 million from the box office. The movie was directed by Roger Allers and Rob Minkoff. The Lion King was Roger's and Rob's first movie as a director. 12 years later, Roger Allers went on to direct Open Season? Are we sure we're talking about the same guy here? And 5 years after The Lion King, Rob Minkoff directed Stuart Little. Now, I'm asking once again, are we talking about the same guys here? Here are on screen the writing credits of the movie. Oh boy, there's so many, god damn it. Shout out to you if you recognize any of these names. The movie stars a lot of voice actors, so let me just go through the main cast here. We got Jonathan Taylor Thomas and Matthew Broderick as Simba, the man, the myth, the legend, James Earl Jones as Mufasa, Jeremy Irons as Scar, Rowan Atkinson as Zazu, Niketa Kalame-Harris and Moira Kelly, I'm sorry if I mispronounced their names, as Nala, Nathan Lane as Timon, and Ernie Sabella as Pumbaa. Now, with all that information said, let's talk about the movie itself. Let me resume the movie for you. The movie starts with a wide shot of the sun rising on the animal kingdom while a now famous song plays in our ears. A song that marked countless generations of viewers. We get a couple of shots of different animal species while the song continues to play until we arrive at the Pride Rock. There, Rafiki shows to the entire kingdom the birth of Mufasa's son, Simba. Mufasa being the king of the land, but you obviously already know that. So then we watch Scar, Mufasa's brother, tease a mouse right before eating him. Zazu then interferes and also gets eaten. Just kidding, Mufasa joined the confrontation and stopped him from doing that.
Scar. Drop him.
Baba Booey.
We then learn that Simba is the future king of the land, a position that Scar wants. Flash forward to young Simba. He wants his father to show him the land and learns that he is the future king of this land. Zazu then joins the duo to give Mufasa updates on how the day is going, and he non-consensually becomes the victim of a young starving lion and dies. Just kidding again.
That is not funny.
We then learn that some hyenas are doing some pranks on the land, and Mufasa then goes to solve the problem without wanting Simba to go with him. Later, Simba brags to Scar about how one day he'll be king and not him. Scar then slips out on what's beyond the borders of the land in a totally accidental way.
Oops.
And that arouses Simba's curiosity. Simba then invites his best friend, Nala, to go and visit this elephant graveyard illegally. But Simba's mom gave one condition for them to go play. Zazu needs to come and watch over them, which doesn't make the young lions happy, of course.
No, not Zazu.
Baba Booey.
And so we get a musical performance about how Simba just can't wait to be king. At the elephant graveyard, our trio confronts 3 starving hyenas that want to eat them, and they run away to try and lose them. Mufasa then pops out of nowhere and does a Superman moment to try to save the children, which he does. While the lions walk depressively towards the Pride Rock, Mufasa gives a lesson to Simba and tells him that he believes that the stars are kings from the past guarding over them. He also foreshadows his death here, but whatever.
And we'll always be together, right?
Nope.
We then get another musical performance about how much Scar wants to be king and how it will benefit the starving hyenas. He tells the hyenas to be prepared. And so, the next day, Simba and Scar go to the Wildebeest Gorge, if I pronounce this place correctly, because Scar tells Simba that he has a surprise for him.
What is it?
If I told you, it wouldn't be a surprise now, would it?
That's Cap, by the way. He just wants a scenario that'll kill Mufasa and his son. He then leaves Simba alone there, waiting for his death. Then, an earthquake happens and Simba witnesses death himself. While he runs away, Scar asks Mufasa to go rescue Simba, which is a trap. While Mufasa tries to save his son, he dies because Scar pushed him to his death in one of cinema's most traumatizing scenes ever.
I want to take a pic with Cardi B.
Simba then tries to wake his dad up, which obviously doesn't work because he's dead, and Scar tells him to run away and never come back. While Simba runs away, the hyenas try to kill him, but he escapes. And so Scar announces to the lionesses that Mufasa and his son are dead, which is not true for Simba, obviously, and that he is the newest king of the land. Back to Simba. He is being found unconscious by the comedic duo of the movie, Timon and Pumbaa. They wake him up and decide to adopt him, or kidnap him, you decide. They then teach him how to live a perfect life by singing a song called Hakuna Matata, which means no worries. Simba then becomes an adult while the song continues to play. Back to Scar, we learn that the whole kingdom is in ruins and that there is no food anymore for neither the lionesses nor the hyenas.
Now get out.
Yeah, but we're still hungry.
Back to Simba again and his new adoptive parents. They talk about what they believe the stars are made of, and Simba tells them what his father once told him.
Somebody once told me that the great kings of the past are up there, watching over us.
But Timon and Pumbaa just laugh in his face, which makes him depressed. Rafiki then magically learns that Simba is still alive.
Simba? He's alive. He's alive!
Pinwheels in my head!
The next day, Nala tries to eat Pumbaa's ass, but Simba defends him and attacks Nala. They figured out who they were and they had a long time no see moment. They then flirt with each other in the strangest ways possible and fall in love. Which makes Timon and Pumbaa sad because that means that they'll lose their son/friend. I honestly don't know what they consider each other as anymore, so I'm assuming things here. Simba and Nala then have their first fight after 1 minute of being together about how Simba doesn't want to go kick Scar's ass and take his place as king. Simba then rage quits and runs away. Where is he going? Well, nowhere. He just wandered off.
Just hanging around.
He crossed paths with Rafiki though, who reminds him who he is, Mufasa's son, because he forgot after all those years.
You don't even know who you are.
Oh, and I suppose you know.
Sure do. You're Mufasa's boy.
Hey, wait!
He then baits him and the viewers into thinking Mufasa's alive, but it was actually to show him that Mufasa lives inside of him. Honestly, why Rafiki? Why did you have to give me false hopes like that? You're just like those girls that went to my high school. Simba then hears the voice of his father, which somehow turns into a cloud.
Father?
Simba.
I want milk.
He tells him that he has no balls and that he should take his place as king, which convinces him. Rafiki then tells Timon, Pumbaa and Nala where Simba is heading and they join him in his quest. The Pride Rock is guarded by hyenas, so they need a distraction. They then used Timon and Pumbaa as bait. Simba then arrives at the Pride Rock and confronts Scar. Scar makes him depressed by reminding him that his father is dead and tries to kill him the same way he killed his father.
Here's my little secret. I want to take a pic with Cardi B.
a lightning bolt strikes the floor and a fire starts. Simba then jumps on Scar, Mario Brothers style, and everyone fights. It's the lions versus the hyenas. Who won? Well, the lions, of course. Simba kicked Scar off the Pride Rock, and he got eaten by the hyenas because they heard him tell Simba that he actually used them to become king. And so the rain appears and stops the fire. Simba then screams so the entire kingdom can hear him, and the movie concludes like it started. Rafiki shows Simba and Nala's newborn child to the entire kingdom, and the movie ends. And so that was a resume of the movie. Now let's talk about what I liked during my watch time of The Lion King. Now, there's a lot of things that I liked about this movie, so I'll try to be as fast as possible here. Let's start with the music. I believe the score and the musical performances of the movie are amazing and so emotional. Even nowadays, when I listen to these songs, I somehow want to cry, and they give me so many chills. Special shout out to the GOAT, Hans Zimmer, for composing such an incredible score. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the colors. I like how colorful the movie is, and that's especially shown with the sky, the environments, and the animals. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the title card. Look how cool it looks. Do I really need to develop more on this one? Another thing that I liked about this movie are its beautiful moments. I think the movie is full of impactful and beautiful moments, like when Simba roars at the end of the movie under the rain, and when Rafiki shows baby Simba to the kingdom. I love these moments. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how they talk about the circle of life. I think it's a pretty great way to explain how the food chain works to children, and they made it pretty family friendly by making the animals kill each other respectfully, for the most part at least.
Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. As king, you need to understand that balance and respect all the creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope.
Dad, don't we eat the antelope?
Yes, Simba, but let me explain. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. We are all connected in the great circle of life.
Another thing that I liked about this movie is the sound design. I've already talked about how good the music is, so let me just add that I liked the SFX and Foley used, and that I think they really fit in the movie. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the design of the characters. I like how each character looks different from each other, and they all have different colors associated with them. I like how easy it is to differentiate Simba and Mufasa, something that I don't think was well made with the live action remake. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the voice acting. My favorite performances here are James Earl Jones as Mufasa, and surprisingly Jonathan Taylor Thomas as young Simba. I love the voice and the performance they gave, especially James' deep voice, but it might just be my Star Wars fan ass glazing here, you know? Another thing that I liked about this movie is how the story is about family and responsibilities. I think they really did a good job here with the family theme, because the whole movie is about how Simba forgot who he was when his father died, and it shows how important and impactful parents are in our lives. It also demonstrates how everyone has responsibilities, and we can't just avoid them the same way that Simba tried to avoid being a king, you know? Another thing that I liked about this movie is the cute romance between Nala and Simba. From childhood friends to adult lovers, I really like how their relationship developed throughout the whole movie. They really have a strong connection that works, in my opinion. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how emotional it is. Mufasa's death traumatized my younger self, and it still haunts me every night to this day. But you know what? I like that, because it proves how impactful his death is, and death is also one of the movie's themes, but I'll talk more about it later in the video. So it proves that whatever messages they were trying to share about death worked. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the parallels used. For example, when Simba and Nala were young, Nala always won over Simba, and that's how years later Simba recognized her when they fought. I like that these details included make sense for future parallels, just like this one. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the villains, but mostly Scar. They were real threats to our protagonist. They left Simba scarred and traumatized forever, which is something that I like. What? because it actually gives a purpose for these characters to exist. Their role in Simba's character development is important and they are pretty menacing for him. Scar is also not just a random villain. He is also Simba's uncle, so their relation adds more emotion to the story and to their rivalry. I really like his design too. He's so cool and good looking. Another thing that I liked about this movie are the lessons of the movie. The movie touches a lot of subjects throughout its entire runtime, and these subjects bring lessons to the viewers. For example, when Mufasa opened up to his son about how scared he can be sometimes. Even if he looks like a badass motherfucker, everyone is scared of something, and you shouldn't be ashamed of being scared. That's the lesson here, and there's plenty of others like this throughout the whole movie. Another thing that I liked about this movie is Simba and Mufasa's father and son relationship. I like how Mufasa is a great father figure to his son, which makes his death more impactful because we are attached to him. Making Simba realize his father lives through him is also a nice touch. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how it talks about death. Whether it's when Mufasa talks about the circle of life or when he dies, death is seen as something normal, and I think the way they normalized it is a great thing because it prepares the audience for when it'll happen to them. The movie helps to go through grief, kind of. Another thing that I liked about this movie is its length. The movie is neither too short nor too long. It's just the perfect length for this type of movie. 1 hour and 28 minutes is really good. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how it foreshadows things. For example, when Mufasa talks to Simba about how someday he won't be there anymore. Little you know, he dies the very next day. Another example is when Mufasa told Simba that he thinks the past kings are watching over them, meaning in the sky. Little you know, again, Mufasa appears as a cloud later in the movie. I like these foreshadowings, even if they're not really subtle. Another thing that I liked about this movie is Simba's character development. I think his development is what makes the movie so great. He starts as a young, curious, and adventurous lion that can't wait to be king. But when his father died, his entire life changed drastically. He came back as an adult after learning so much about life with Timon and Pumbaa to take back his place as king. Every obstacle he went through, every lesson he learned, every event that affected him had an impact on his character, and that made him develop for the better, which is something that I like to see. Another thing that I liked about this movie is how metaphorical it is, especially because of Rafiki. I love his whole father living inside the son metaphor. It really adds something interesting to the plot. Finally, the last thing that I liked about this movie is the ending. Simba winning over Scar and having a baby with his wife. It's such a beautiful ending that kind of makes a loop, referencing to the beginning of the movie when Simba was born and shown to the entire kingdom. This loop is also referencing the circle of life, which is mentioned throughout the entire movie, because that's how life goes. After you die, someone replaces you, and same goes afterwards, you know? Now that I have mentioned what I like about this movie, let's talk about what I found okay during my watch time of The Lion King. The first thing that I found okay about this movie, and I know it's not the movie's fault, but it's the animation. We're in 2025, so of course the animation have improved it since then, and this 1994 animation looks really old and bad compared to the recent 2D animated projects we had. I just wanted to mention it quickly here because I didn't remember it to be that bad. Like, look at those background characters, for example. They are not moving. Why it's in the okay section of this review though is because we have to include context, which is the movie was made in 1994. That doesn't mean I can't criticize it, but I still have to remember when the movie was made so I can make factual points. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is the design of the background characters. Again, in 1994, I don't think they had time to give each and every single background character a unique design, so I won't really complain about that. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is that I feel like we're missing some life forms. The movie is about circle of life, but the only time we see other animals are during musical performances, and they don't really have an impact on the story. The movie could have explored more life forms, but it is what it is. There's also too many hyenas, in my opinion, compared to the other animal species. Another thing that I found okay about this movie is the humor. I really prefer the emotional tone of the movie to its comedic tone. Timon and Pumbaa are kind of overrated in my opinion. Hold on, don't burn me alive yet. I'm just giving my opinion here. I still love them, but they are not as funny as I remember them to be. And I also talk about this in my previous review about The Lion King 1.5. You can go watch this video if you're curious about it. Zazu and Rafiki are the only other comedic characters, and honestly their jokes are just passable. They're okay, but they don't make the movie's humor good, you know? Another thing that I found okay about this movie is how annoying young Simba is. I get it, young Simba is supposed to be this annoying because he's a curious and excited character. The thing is, even if his annoying personality is motivated, it still annoys me. Him being too curious about the elephant graveyard, for example, or when he disobeys his father, are moments that annoys me. At least it creates fun moments to watch, and it makes sense with his character and how his character will develop during the events of the movie. Another thing that I found okay about this movie are the empty environments. Just look at the pictures I'm showing you, and you'll understand what I mean. There's nothing really interesting about them. They are carried by the beauty of the lightning and the colors, and that's it. I know that this old animation couldn't include too many details because they were limited, but I still wish the environments were composed of many other elements that could have made these environments more alive, you know? Finally, the last thing that I found okay about this movie are the length of some scenes. I feel like the pacing in general was fine, but some scenes were just taking too much time and were not really interesting. Like right before Hakuna Matata, for example. Timon and Pumbaa yap too much there, in my opinion. Now, with all that said, let's talk about what I disliked during my watch time of The Lion King. This section of the review will be short. Do you know why? Well, because there's only one thing that I want to mention in this part of the video, and it is the final confrontation between Simba and Scar. Why would you ask? Well, I have two reasons. The first one being that Simba's lines are so goddamn corny. Honestly, I just need to let them speak for themselves. Take a look.
You don't deserve to live. Everything you ever told me was a lie. No, Scar. I'm not like you.
Do you understand why I find these lines corny as hell? Now, the second reason is because of the slow-mo part of their fight. It was kind of cringe, not gonna lie. It was the same shot for too long and nothing really happened, you know? Now that I have told you what I think of this movie, let me give you my overall review of the movie. The Lion King is an incredibly touching story that follows the development of an impacted character from his birth to his adulthood. The music of the movie is awesome and chilling. It's not a movie full of action, but it's a really nice, emotional, and touching journey. The humor is passable, but it's really not the main focus of the movie here. The characters are really unique and different from each other, which is nice. The villain is menacing and has a cool design and great motives. The animation might be old, but it's still easily watchable and the colors are still beautiful to look at. I will give this movie a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. What do you think of The Lion King? Leave a comment in the comment section down below telling me your thoughts on the movie. Leave a like or a dislike if you want. Subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.